What is up, fellow CineNerds? I'm Ryan,
Hey, I'm JP.
and we got a doozy for you today. We're going to be exploring the wonderful, wonderful world of Pump Up the Volume.
Pump up the volume. Christian Slater
Pump up the... Sorry.
jams.
He was singing it before we started this, so now it's stuck in my head. All right. So, yeah, a little Christian Slater fun here. I am a diehard fan of this movie. I think it speaks volumes at any era. And my initial impression, first time I saw this when I was younger, was here's a movie I can identify with. Here's a movie that expresses how I'm feeling inside, makes me feel like the younger generation has something to say and we're not being heard and that we need to be heard. And I feel like that movie, me seeing this now versus then, the message still holds true. So, what was yours?
Uh, basically the same. I watched this film. Well, obviously this film was heavily advertised, I believe, on MTV and things at the time, and so I was like really excited about watching this film and went to the theater and watched this film. And being a Christian Slater fan at the time, because he was kind of the big deal at the time when this film came out, and he was really coming up. But I was already a fan of movies like The Legend of Billie Jean and Gleaming the Cube. Heathers had already came out, and I was a huge fan of the film Heathers. But kind of the same thing. I remember watching this film, and I was young when this film came out. This film was, what year was it? 1990. So I was only 11 when this film came out. But man, I just felt like, kind of like you were saying, it was like one of those movies that felt like it gave you a voice. It made you, as a young adult at the time, like you can do stuff to be heard, and it's not about the adults, running your life, and controlling every aspect, and really fucking with your future, and that's what this movie has a lot to do with. Corruption with how the schools and shit actually treat and handle their kids. And I went to a high school. I really identified with this movie when I was in high school, even later after this movie had came out, because I went to a high school in the 90s, not far off from the time period when this film came out. And the high school I went to, man, the people that ran that school ran it almost the exact same way that these principals, vice principals, and teachers ran the school and Pump Up the Volume. They were running kids out of school. They were doing everything they could to get the lower, I won't say uneducated, that's not the word I'm looking for, but the kids that needed the most help, that wasn't testing to where they needed to be or wasn't doing the things that they needed to be doing in a way that they expected, they would run them out of the high school that I was in order to keep their numbers, their testing numbers up.
It's a sad reality. It does happen.
And it happened. I was ran out of high school. I was actually told not to return for some of those same reasons. I later graduated at the time, at the college, but because they had a program, where you could actually go get your high school diploma at the college. But I was one of those kids. I was ran out of school, and seeing like the one kid in this film, with the sign that he's going to go post up, "I deserve an education." I really identified with this movie on a personal level, and once I got to my high school years. So, and Harry, who is Christian Slater's character, his radio personality, he is trying to tell these kids, it's okay to stand up and take control of your life back, and to make a difference in your own way. That's how I interpret this film, and I identified with it so much as a young adult that and I know I'm really rambling on my first impressions, but I love this film. This is one of
I'm just kidding.
this is one of my favorite. I don't know if it is my favorite, but it is definitely one of my favorite, if not my favorite Christian Slater film, because of what this film is actually about.
So this movie came out in 1990. So rewind 12 years. All right. So we're going to talk about 2013 at this point. There was a student named Jeff Bliss in Duncanville, Texas, and it's just like it's spelled Jeff Bliss. Look it up if you get a chance. And this kid, he looks like an Eddie from Stranger Things, or like long haired kid. And he's essentially being asked to leave the class and go to the principal's office because he's trying to have a voice for the kids in the class. The kid stands up and he goes, "You can't teach them all with a paper packet. You have to show them that most kids don't learn like that." And he's trying to tell his teacher, who's not listening, and this is real. This isn't a movie. This is real life. So like this is a problem that's happening. And I don't blame the teachers, because a lot of teachers don't have the proper support or funding and not being paid the correct salaries. I get it. But like when kids are speaking and adults aren't listening, that's where we have a problem. I'm the guy who, like, if my kids when they were little would come to me and say there's a monster under their bed, I'm going in their fucking room and I'm looking under their bed. Not because there's going to be a monster there, but because I want my kid to have faith in me and know that I will follow through with the issues they have and the concerns they have. And I feel like what you have in this movie is the exact definition of what I just said gone wrong. Christian Slater, he can't talk to people in a public forum. He's not good at public speaking. He's very introverted. He finds relief in this radio platform where he's hijacking the radio airwaves, and he gains momentum and following. And his parents aren't even aware, because they're so out of touch with him, that the parents are asking about his day-to-day routine. And then they start asking, "Have you heard about this character on the radio, Harry?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've heard about it." And It's all he kind of says, But the problem is that the person who's the voice this whole movie that's doing that, his family's not listening to him. His small circle of friends, he doesn't have one. He's new in the school district, but the one girl kind of catches on to him. She's not listening to him to start, and even she starts to listen. But like, he feels like an empty voice. He feels like he is non-existent in everyone else's world, and it wouldn't matter if he was there or not. To the point where when he's getting these letters written to a P.O. box, and he starts addressing these on the air, things start happening. And I'll kind of pause and let you go in a little bit there.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, he's getting letters, he's gaining fans, and people are starting to call in, to him and talk to him on a one-on-one. Well, no, they don't call him, but they leave numbers for him to call, and he in his in the letters, and he'll call these people, and some of them are just young schoolgirls that are just giggling at the fact that they called him, or they sent him a letter, and she actually called and asked him ridiculous questions. But just like Heather's, this film dives into some deep issues. With one of the letters he gets is another student that is homosexual, and wasn't he homosexual? No. It was another one. But anyway, this student is having issues with suicide and thoughts of suicide. And Hard Harry is his personality. His actual name is Mark in the movie.
Isn't it Harry Hardon?
Harry Hardon, yeah. So this kid, he calls him and he does try to reason with him, and he hangs up on him. He tries to call him back, but it's off the hook. And he goes into saying, still trying to help this kid over the radio after he hangs up on him, and then plays a song and goes off the air. You find out the next day this kid, it shows, but they find out the next day this kid actually commits suicide. So at this point, police are getting involved and government officials are getting involved, because he's on the air illegally. Now, he's just trying to get his voice out there. This is no different than today's youth. They have such an outlet of, well, you can just be get on TikTok and make these videos, or you can do a podcast, no different than we do, to throw some opinions out there. You couldn't do that in the 90s. So he was taking control of radio airwaves and doing this illegally. And I always saw this film too with the issues with abuse and suicide, and like you said, parents not listening, what the teachers and principals are doing to these kids, not allowing them to have an education. I also always felt like this was a film about censorship as well, no different than Howard Stern back at during this time period as well. So this film kind of tackles all these issues all in one film. Now it gets a bit jumbled. You can't say, well, I don't even say it gets jumbled, but it's just so quick. All these little issues are so quick and back and forth, but it comes together as a whole.
You don't remember that?
Oh, yeah.
For those of you who weren't seeing, I was just smacking the back of my neck.
He starts pretending, doing Howard Stern type stuff.
Yeah.
He's like pretending to masturbate, and he starts smacking.
He's making all the fun noises that go along with it, and he's like approaching climax, and he does. It's like, oh, it's been 6 times in an hour. He develops, by doing these stupid little quirky things, he develops this crazy cult-like following who are listening to his every word, and they're embracing the idea of rebellion, teenage rebellion, if you will. So events start happening at the high school where you've got people defacing property, you've got spray painting, people are putting catchphrases up there. I want to talk about the catchphrase for a minute. So be it, right? Is that what it is? So I thought maybe I got a PG version, and I thought it was something else. I don't know why I thought it was something else, and I was like, did I get a made-for-TV version of this?
Yeah.
Because I remember it being a little more intense.
Yeah,
for some reason. I thought
there's a bunch of different ones. I mean, there's obviously the talk hard, and so be it. And there's a bunch of different little phrases and stuff just written throughout.
I think I mixed up another movie and I thought it was So Fucking What in that part, because SFW is one I keep talking about every time we talk about Pump Up the Volume. Kind of similar, kind of not. If you ever get a chance, check that one out too. But yeah, no. So I'm a fan of everything he embodies and everything he's going for. This librarian girl, played by Samantha Mathis, she played a character of Nora.
I love Samantha Mathis.
Do you?
So we're gonna put the brakes on right here. So
right here.
So I can don't talk about my ex-wife too much on here, and my son's mom, ex-wife. So I had a lot of childhood crushes, and some of you know Christina Ricci was one of them. Winona Ryder was one of them. Samantha Mathis was one of them. And if you look at Samantha Mathis in this film, you see some similarities of kind of her, Winona Ryder, somewhat through that time period. I had a type.
Heather's,
yeah.
That's more.
So I had a type, and so like when I met my son's mom in high school, she resembled Samantha Mathis from Pump Up the Volume, and I always latched onto that because I love Samantha Mathis and had a huge childhood crush on her. Now, so that was probably one of the biggest reasons. She is one of the biggest reasons that my son's mom really caught my eye, was because she really resembled her from this movie when she was younger. Now,
so she looks like shit now?
No. We're not going to talk about that. But now, like I've actually met Samantha Mathis. I met her a handful of years ago, and she was such a sweetheart, and she's still just gorgeous.
Yeah, I've seen recent pictures of her, and she definitely aged very well.
Yeah, she's still a beautiful woman, and she is a little older than me, But I mean, I remember meeting her and going, "Oh, yeah." And I don't know. I'm not going to say that she was flirting with me, but I feel like she was flirting with me because we had kind of a meet and greet one year, and it was out in the public, but it was a very slow evening at where we were at, and so there wasn't like a line of people, to get autographs or meet her. And so I actually got to stand there and talk to her for a while, and she was an absolute sweetheart. But I was there with my now ex, and Samantha's like leaning over, and she's going, "Is this your wife? Is that your wife? Or is that your girlfriend?" And like kind of saying stuff, whispering and giggling to me, and she got very flirtatious with me. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it took everything I could at the time to not start flirting back, because of the childhood crush. And in hindsight now, I feel like I should have. I missed opportunity on my behalf, but no, that is she was absolutely a sweetheart, and she's a beautiful person, still a beautiful woman, and her in this film, yeah, that's what set my type up of. Usually, a lot of times, what I look for in women is kind of based off of Winona Ryder and from back then, and Samantha Mathis from back then.
Well, I didn't know until this watch that Samantha Mathis and Christian Slater were dating during the filming of this.
They were.
For almost they're in the middle of a 1.5 year relationship, apparently. And so all the nudity scenes with these two or close scenes are actual like emotions. They're actually conveying how they felt for each other in those scenes, which if you think about it in context, it's pretty genius for anyone. If you can get a couple, while they're in the heat of their passion, to solidify a couple in a movie, you might have some problematic issues, but also you'll have some seriously amazing footage.
Well, they even did the film Broken Arrow together after this, and she was in the Super Mario Brothers film. She played Princess Peach.
What?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, she was Princess Peach in Super Mario Brothers, and I don't care what anybody says, I love that Super Mario Brothers movie.
Did you catch the two other little cameos in this? Well, not cameos, but early career.
You got Seth Green.
Seth Green, who was like literally in it for a minute. And did you catch the other big one?
What was the other one?
She was in a scary movie recently.
And like
Lin Shaye. Do you know Lin Shaye? She's the Insidious. She's the older woman from Insidious.
Yeah, she is in
so
this.
She's like it looks like she's like maybe mid-20s, and she's at the town hall, the meeting with the parents, and she's speaking in it, and I was like, holy shit, because she looks so young in this.
Yeah, I now that you said that, and I realize,
because she, like, my wife really loves the Insidious franchise, so we watch through them quite often, and she's just a fixture at our house, and I've seen her in so many. Well, she was also in. We reviewed this recently, but she was in Chillerama. She was a dumpster diver, and they were fighting over items they'd found in a dumpster, and then the sperm kills her. But, yeah. But anyways,
where do we go from here?
We were talking about the love relationship
between Samantha Mathis and Christian Slater's character. So Christian Slater's character, Mark, Harry Hardon, he cannot talk to her. Like, he's so shy. He won't talk to anybody, and if he tries to, he ends up just walking away. This is kind of a trend throughout the whole film, that he has a hard time with connecting with people his age. And Nora kind of breaks that wall with him, and they get intimate, because she finds out, she tracks him down, figures out that he is Harry. He is the radio personality, and she believes in what he's doing so much, and she connects with him through what he is saying on the radio, that their relationship blossoms.
The catchphrases too, while that relationship's unfolding though, but the catchphrases and the quotes from this movie are some of the best. One of them I'm going to reference because I love this one was, "Eat your cereal with a fork and do your homework in the dark." I love that. I don't know why I love that, because like if there's any way to get through to older people, it's little subtleties. So when you say eat your cereal with a fork and do your homework in the dark, I would say that's kind of eye-opening a little bit and makes somebody question everything. So if my kid was doing either of those things, I'd be like, what are you doing? And then hopefully we can talk. But I love that everything was kind of a reference to these types of things or some kind of rebellion. And I'm going to go further. I'm going to talk about the soundtrack to this movie, not just the soundtrack, the playlist throughout.
Is so good.
My God, is it good. Hold on. I got to... all right. We got Leonard Cohen's a staple in there. Ice-T, Youngbloods, Descendants, Above the Law. Jesus Christ. Who else? We got Bad Brains, the Pixies, Rollins Band, Liquid Jesus, Urban Dance Squad, Concrete Blonde.
Yeah, this is a 1990s wet dream for the soundtrack.
I mean, it was as for 1990 though, just before we're going into Seattle world. I would say this is a pretty magical playlist. That's probably, I mean, there's no question to me that most of the Seattle bands playing were influenced in full capacities by people like Leonard Cohen, the Pixies, Bad Brains, and so on. So this soundtrack, oh my God, even when they're scrolling up his cassette tapes and you just see like the Rollins Band live or Bad Brains stuff, I was just getting geeked because I loved it all.
Yeah. The soundtrack to this it's just so relaxing, honestly, and then it's so punk rock at the same time. But then there's just so many just good, relaxing songs in this soundtrack, and it's.
But even those relaxing songs, like this goes back to the movie we just talked about, Superman, where we were talking about how punk rock is kindness. That's the new punk rock. Like, I feel like there's an element there, too, for the balance here. You have rebellion going off in so many different fronts, whether it be a DJ on the air, to kids making a statement, to, a girl breaking through to a young man who is an introvert. Like, there's so much punk rock going on here that it is just so good. So yeah, no, I've loved this movie. I love this movie all the way through. And how about is there more in the middle you want to talk about?
We can go on.
So some of my favorite parts of this were towards the end, where basically they've been discovered. They bring in the FCC who can triangulate signals, radio signals. And so he knows this, and he's got all of his equipment pulled, and they put it into his mom's Jeep, which he's got on loan, and I'm putting up quote marks for those of you who can't see, from his mom. And the girlfriend, played by Mathis, I forgot her name. What is it? Nora starts driving the Jeep while he's doing his show from the Jeep, and they're trying to find him, and they're driving through all these neighborhoods and taking these people in circles. And it is so awesome to look at and see happen. And all the way up to when he pulls up to a giant group of all these students who are pulled together to listen, because they started getting together to listen to his radio broadcast.
Yeah, they gather at the football field.
Yep.
At the school.
But he finally point blank addresses them. They park almost on a ledge above the football field, and he's talking to them through his radio broadcast, and they're all looking up and they see him, and then the trucks close in, and it kind of goes from there. So.
Mm-hmm. And his voice modulator, he uses a voice modulator while he's on the air, and it ends up while they're trying to evade the FCC and police, the voice modulator falls and busts. So when he's actually talking, looking down onto the football field from on top of this hill, he's talking in his voice, not with the modulator. And then they end up driving back down this hill into the football field, and he's telling everybody, it's your time, basically your time to rise up. Get on the radio, take over the airwaves, steal the air, and get your voice heard. Say fuck if you want, it's okay. And then obviously the head guy from the FCC pulls the plug on him, and they arrest him. And his final words is, and it's. He takes his glasses off as he's been put in the paddy wagon, and he looks at everybody, addresses them one last time, and says, talk hard. And I don't know. Everything is so powerful in this film. It was some of the monologues, and there's a lot of monologues between just him talking on the radio and him addressing, the students that look, as they're in the field, and there's so many good monologues, and there's funny ones, there's serious ones, there's you know, inspirational ones, and it's just that movie. This is just start to finish. This movie is just so good.
I can't agree more, and so do Siskel and Ebert apparently.
Do they?
Yes, and they've been known to criticize and shit on movies nonstop, but this one they agreed on completely. It said they dedicated a Siskel and Ebert episode of the films that failed at the box office, but that were encouraged to get a second look on home video, and put his film on the list of selections. With Siskel saying he didn't understand why more teenagers didn't see the film, as they were the primary demographic. However, the film's R rating is most likely the huge factor in the low box office intake. While it is primarily teenage-centered film, the R rating limited teenaged audiences who would naturally have seen the film with a parent or guardian. And so the fact that they were even coming forward and saying that, and a lot of the quotes you get from reviews in this movie are exactly what a teenage film should be. So basically, you know, this is that Gen X shit. This is where we all come from with this stuff, where this is our version of a teen movie, and then there was Twilight for the next generation. Yeah. So I mean, and not to knock Twilight, it's what it was, and it got kids to read and got kids to get out of the house. I'm cool with that. But at the same token, like, I feel like our generation tackled a lot more pressing issues with some of these things. Like, you know, JP's talked about the movie a couple times, but like Heathers, like, Jesus, that was the original Mean Girls. That was the original shit that kind of hit you differently. Mm-hmm. There's so much going on in that movie. If you haven't seen Heathers, I implore you to please go out and check it out. Don't expect a happy outcome, but just know that it's one of those quality movies you need to see. And this as well, tackling all the issues that, you know, the not being heard part of it was one of the big things. You know, no kid felt heard. It's why we all were out on skateboards 24/7 and messing with each other and throwing people over and having fun and making parties up at houses. And now it's, let's get on the mic and talk tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
and you know, what's crazy is I can think of 3 Christian Slater films that I think are important films for anybody to see. One of them being Pump Up the Volume.
Gleaming the Cube.
No.
Oh, no.
I said important films, and that one it's a fun film. It's a good film.
I feel it's important.
But Pump Up the Volume, Heathers, The Legend of Billie Jean. And The Legend of Billie Jean, for a lot of the same reasons as Pump Up the Volume, it's about standing up for these youth, standing up for themselves, you know. And now Legend of Billie Jean is more about the females standing up for themselves, but it's a generational type film. It has that same vibe of what Pump Up the Volume has, and it's just, there's so much to be said about that time period for people like us that are my age. You know, I know some of this might be a harder watch for a younger generation, but I also still think these movies hold up even for a younger generation to watch these now.
I mean, I would probably take out Billie Jean and put in, you know, like Young Guns, or no, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I do love Young Guns.
Young Guns is good, but no, like, just looking at his incredible career, I would actually piggyback that and add Mr. Robot that I've been watching currently to it. I wasn't expecting Christian Slater. He's so vested in the series, and it's one of those series that's definitely relevant to today. And another thing that I feel like as Christian Slater has grown through the years, he's tried to make material that was relatable to everyone who's trying to fight through it, and everyone is trying to get through it. And I can respect the hell out of that.
Do you know box office budget?
I do not.
All right, so budget, do you want to guess?
Oh boy. All right, so cast is pretty minor. Overall, let's go. They pushed a lot in marketing on this. This one's a tough one because of the time it was made.
Yeah, yeah.
12 mil.
You doubled it. It was $6 million.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, this film was $6 million.
That's great. That furthers what I said last week.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm so sick of these fucking blockbusters spending hundreds of millions of dollars, and then these films come out with a $6 million budget and like a $10 million budget that are just great.
You want to guess box office?
I'm gonna do something similar to last week, so I'm gonna go 70 mil.
Oh, you're way off.
Way off.
Way off. Yeah.
Am I high or low?
You're way high.
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 You know what? I should have just thought about my own process with when they said the R rating limited the viewer.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me restructure that then. Let's go 23 mil.
You're still high.
Really?
Yeah. This film, now it did not lose money, but it was not a blockbuster they thought it was going to be on such a small budget, because they were banking on Christian Slater's star power and it being pushed on MTV. But the rated R rating, I think, like they said, hurt this film tremendously, because the people that wanted to go see this were under 18.
Yep.
I went to the theater and watched it, but it was one of those things. It was hard to get into a lot of theaters. If you were wasn't of age. This film grossed worldwide $11.5 million, so it almost doubled its budget, a little less than doubled, but it wasn't a huge hit, especially for Christian Slater at the time, because you had a lot of big films. He's just coming off of Heathers. He had films like Cuffs, Gleaming the Cube. It kind of became an underground hit. Legend of Billie Jean, that came a pretty big underground hit at the time. But he had a lot. Young Guns 2, which was a big fucking movie for him. There was a lot of just star power with Christian Slater at the time. And hell, didn't he win, or he was nominated, I think, for an Academy Award for Interview with a Vampire? Like, there was numerous things, with Christian Slater at the time. He was kind of the big deal for a young actor in the early 90s. So yeah, it didn't make nowhere near as much money as I think the studios anticipated. Alan Moyle, the guy who directed this, I don't know how you pronounce it. His name is spelled Moyle. Moyle. Alan Moyle. I looked at his IMDb. You know what else he directed? Empire Records.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's not bad. I can see. I can kind of see that.
His IMDb, there wasn't a lot on his IMDb that I was like, oh wow, he did this or this. But Empire Records, it was one that was stood out, and I was like, oh, he did this one. I love Empire Records. You ready for ratings?
Sure.
What you thinking?
All right. So, Pump Up the Volume to me is one of those classics that is unmatched in its scream to an older generation. It is a movie that has nothing but voices for the voiceless, if you will, and it brings out a bigger issue where adults need to just listen to kids. When kids are screaming, pay attention, because they matter. Their words matter, and so this one really hit home for me because, I know I share often, but I don't get into my upbringing, and it was not anything easy by any means, and I felt unheard more often than not. So when a movie like this would come around, and it would paint a picture for me, and it would help me through whatever I was going through, and I could identify with it, I grasped on it and I held on to it. And this one was one of those. There are some quirks and some weird things that, are par for the course with not being a fan of. But outside of those little complaints, because they're so minor, I don't give a shit. This movie is an amazing film, start to finish. I'm going to go 4.1 nerds. I could get a lot deeper, but that one it's just to simplify it. 4.1 nerds covers it.
Yeah, and everything you said. Period. I said at the beginning of the episode too. This movie really hit home for me once I got into high school. Like this has felt a lot how the teachers were and vice principals and whatnot.
He got in high school years before me too.
Yeah, yeah. You believe that? All right. But I really felt this movie on a personal level, and then I also love the themes. I love everything about this film, start to finish. Trying to get people to have their voices heard and freedom of speech and so on. There's so many elements in this film that is just, I think, is important for people, especially youth, that should see this film, especially to see how our generation was. I think this is a good example of Generation X and what we were going through in a certain degree, and the things that would help inspire us. This is one of those films. It's one of my favorite Christian Slater movies, and I'm going to give it a bit higher than Ryan here. Now, it's not a perfect 5. We're not going that route, but it's definitely a solid 4.5 for me because it's so personal to me.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I think this movie hits on so many levels. It's a timeless classic, and it, especially for our era, just so sadly, and every generation has their moments where they don't have a voice or they don't feel like they have a voice. I know the kids nowadays feel the same way, and it's so important for those who came before to listen to those voices. Make sure those kids are heard. I can't express that enough, because that's really what this movie screams, and that's what this was, again, personal for our era, but I know there's new ones that these kids identify with now. So if you're a kid and you don't feel like your voice is being heard, make sure it's being heard and do it the right way. Talk to whoever you need to and get it out there, because you matter, and I mean that.
Film recommendations?
I've
got one.
Yeah,
I've got one. So, going off the Christian Slater theme with Pump Up the Volume, I'm going to do a recommendation on a Christian Slater film. It's one of my, I think it's one of his most fun movies, and it's one that a lot of people missed, and I think it was one that bombed at the box office, but I remember going to the theater and watching it. Cuffs. Did you ever watch Cuffs?
Yeah, some time ago, but
yeah, I love that movie. I went to the theater and watched this film, and I've watched it numerous times through the years, and I mean, I've as recent as probably last year, I've probably watched this movie. He kind of takes over a district as a cop to run the district in San Francisco, and basically all these little districts are privately owned police, and his brother dies. He inherits that district, and he's trying to clean it up, and things ensue, and it gets ridiculous and fun, and it's a great Christian Slater movie. Cuffs.
I'm trying to get ready to brace myself for the 50-50 love-hate I've heard about Jurassic World or Jurassic Park Rebirth. I don't know if it's World or Park or whatever.
I think it's Jurassic World Rebirth.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get ready for that one because I haven't seen that one yet. But in anticipation,
I've heard it's so bad. I've heard so many horror.
I've
stories
heard that,
about
but I've also heard good things. So I'm not. This is one of those ones I'm not gonna give it any kind of. I'm gonna wait till I see it myself. I just watched through with the wife. I watched all of the Jurassic Parks and Jurassic Worlds all together in a row, and in order. And the last one was a little weak, but outside of that, it's a solid franchise. It's solid storytelling, and I recommend you guys all get caught up on that before you check out Rebirth as well. That's what I've been watching.
The last one was the one with the girl that was a clone, right?
Well, she was in the second to last one first. That's when we get her main story, and then the last one is it's basically they find a way to bring the old characters back and have the new characters together, and they become a team together.
I remember that. I saw it. But, I don't remember a thing about that one, but I remember watching it.
It's because you know why? And my wife and I had a conversation about it. The antagonist in it is the worst antagonist possible. He is just the worst villain. There's nothing whatsoever that's cool about him. Now, There's a girl who is, I can't remember her name. She's very unique looking. I believe she's in the Firefly series, but she was also in the Femme Nikita series. And she's Asian looking, very, very distinct.
I know who you're talking about.
So she plays like a person who acquires these illegal dinosaurs in that movie. And like I was like, that's a villain. That's good. This other dude sucks. Get rid of him and put her in. So if they had done that, I think I would have been a little happier. But I did like the cast coming together for that last hurrah.
I'd have to rewatch. That's one I remember watching, but I watched it once and never watched it again, and I don't remember a thing about it. So
I understand why it's not very memorable. It's just not. Yeah, no. But this new one, I'm actually, if I'm gonna be honest, I'm shocked that Scarlett Johansson even agreed to it. So we're gonna wait and see, and I'm not gonna be negative until I see it.
I think she's trying to get into a new franchise.
Understandable.
Likely. Yeah,
understandable.
But yeah, I didn't have a desire to, and I love the Jurassic Park movies. I went to the theater and watched all of them except for the last one.
Hear me out. They fix shit right, and they bring home Slice and her back together from Avengers, and you got Bucky and her as Luke and Mara Jade. I'm just saying, that's my dream. That's all. She'd be an amazing Mara Jade. Sorry.
Yeah, I can see that.
In the books, guys, Luke Skywalker had a wife named Mara Jade Skywalker, and she was awesome.
It's been a while since we had any Star Wars talk.
Got to put it out there.
All right.
CineNerdsPodcast.com.
Stole it from me.
I thought I'd have a little fun with him on that one.
CineNerdsPodcast.com. All of your CineNerds needs are there. All of our links, all of our schedules, and not to mention our letterboxes are there. You can follow us on Letterboxd. I've not been as active on that lately, but I know he has. I've seen him make some reviews.
I reviewed Happy Gilmore too on there the other day,
and I've still not been doing any written reviews lately. I've been so busy still, but I promise you, I'm going to get back on that here soon. Also, our shop is on there. You can get awesome CineNerds swag, coffee mugs, and the money helps a local screen printer, as well as it helps us, finish upgrading the rest of our equipment.
Seemingly Perfect Designs is the name of that company too, and we've got that on our page. So please check out that shop. It helps everything. And the big one, the most important thing you can do, if you don't want to buy merch and you don't want to support us in any other way, sharing is caring. That's the easiest thing to do. It's free, and we appreciate that in itself.
Share and comment on the video, comment on the Apple Podcast, leave reviews, do all this stuff. Until next time, guys.
Peace out.
Later.